Welcome to Los Comex. I'm your host, cartoonist, and recently inoculated citizen Javier Hernandez. I got my first COVID vaccine shot last week. So in about 2 more weeks, I go back for the second dose. And, I'm not going to say I'm home free because until, the majority of people are vaccinated. So but, I'm still going to wear a mask when I go out and for double protection. But it was a big relief getting that first shot. So looking forward to that second dose. And then, like I said, as everybody around me, family, and most people I'm in contact with start getting inoculated. I think that's the word. Or vaccinated. And then again, there's that whole thing of, well, what about the rest of the city and the world and all that? But anyway, it's always a good first step. So speaking of medical issues, we're going to look at some of my comics. So this is going to be a series I'm going to be doing. I think I mentioned it before I was going to be doing this. I'm kind of looking at the history of all of the comics I've done before, or at least a big majority of them. Just kind of going through my back catalog. I've been publishing since 1998 with the debut of El Muerto. And, of course, that's been my main character and focus, and especially now moving to graphic novel series of that. But, there's a lot of other comics sprinkled in between, particularly the last, I'd say, 10 years. I've definitely been, alternating back between El Muerto and some other projects. So this is not going to be in chronological order because I have older books in my catalog from when I started back in 98. But I decided to jump into this, into the COMA. And really quick, I know you're supposed to research this stuff beforehand, but I always assume, well, I know this stuff, I created it, but you know what? I am human, I do forget. Okay, copyright on these is 2011. So it's 2021. This is good. This is the 10th anniversary of when I published the COMA. So let me put this aside for now, this one. We'll talk about it afterwards. It's The Art of the COMA. Tells you a little bit of what the contents are. But here we go. The COMA, experience the mind-bending universe of the COMA. Really quick, this cover. So yeah, I penciled it. I drew the art. And for this, I wanted to enlist some friends of mine, really top-notch people, top-notch creators. So it was inked by my friend Michael Nino. He's a cartoonist based in Ohio. And again, like so many people, right, I got to just know him through the internet. Looking at his stuff, he'd look at my stuff, then he'd start, a couple of comments here and there, and then start chatting on the side. Really good guy. I did get to meet him when I went to a convention out there several years ago. So I asked if he'd like to ink it because, I'm not going to say he has his art is, to me, is very refined. It's really great, but it still has a looseness to it, which I thought was a good match for mine. So I asked him if he'd like to ink this drawing, which he did. In fact, here we go. This is what Michael did, right? All the black ink. That's his work, handiwork. Which, I don't know how, I'm sure you see it here clearly, but, it's fantastic work. So after, I think I sent Michael, I'm pretty sure I sent him the original paper sheet that I drew. I sent it to him. And then he would have inked it right on the paper, right over my blue pencil, my blue line. And then I'm trying to think. He either scanned it and sent me the scan, or he probably sent me a scan of it. Because I'm sure, okay, I believe he has the artwork because he inked it. So anyway, however the art got back to me or whatever, then I asked my other friend, another great cartoonist, Mort Todd, who's got a very long career in comics, starting with editing Cracked magazine back in the, I don't want to say late 80s, early 90s. Anyway, Cracked is a rival to Mad Magazine. A total ripoff, as they would say over there at Cracked. Anyway, I got to know Mort also again through, internet transactions and such, and met him once or twice. Anyway, he's a great, he's an editor, he's a writer, he's a cartoonist, publisher, but he's also a colorist. He's been coloring I know back in 2011 he had already been, coloring for a while. and his digital colors are out of this world. So I asked Mort, can you color this? You know, so he had this black and white. I gave him, I gave him some images of the COMA and this character, just for the color scheme. But I go, give me a psychedelic background. That's all I said. I didn't tell him make all these swirls. He did that, and he did a fantastic job. It totally fits with the character. So this is the rare cover where I got, it's 3 people worked on it, myself, and then Michael Nino, the inker, and Mort Todd, the colorist. But I wanted to make a big splash with this, so brought in some top-notch fellas there. So anyway, that's the cover of the COMA. Let me just jump to it, right? What is the COMA? Here's a little ad I took, a little house ad for my other work, Los Comex. We've got character. So at the time I had done, and we'll talk about this later at another video, Manga Muerto, spin-off of El Muerto, Man Swamp, Weapon Tex-Mex. The first character I ever had published a year before El Muerto. I think I may have mentioned that once. And there's the COMA. So I had wanted to do a story, something, Ditko-esque, Steve Ditko, especially his Doctor Strange and the surreal ghost and horror stories he'd done. So it started with that idea. I wanted to do some type of character, right? So I'm thinking like a mystical Doctor Strange type. That was our first rough idea. And then I just thought, well, I don't want to do magic. Obviously that's been done. Ditko's done it, and there's plenty of other magician superheroes out there. Zatanna from DC. Anyway, so I started thinking, what else is there? And I started thinking of dreams, right? So I guess, dreams would fall under science, right? The mind, psychology. But to me, dreams are always like a halfway point between science and, I don't know, spirituality, mysticism, right? I mean, who knows why you're dreaming, what's going on. And I know there's scientific, explanations or theories about all that. So and then, I'm thinking of just, traveling through the mind, the brain, and then that concept of the universal consciousness, is it? Like, when we're all dreaming, like, do all those dreams intersect? Like, I don't know. Who knows, right? It's a dream. Like me in my dream, do I end up in someone else's dream at some point that I don't know about? So anyway, since that hasn't been scientifically proven or disproven either way, it allows for I can come in as a writer of fiction and make up a bunch of stuff. So that's the basic premise of this character, the COMA. He's in a coma, literally. I'll show you right now. And when he's in that coma and he dreams, his dream ties into everybody else's, and there's this evil entity here that's going through all the entire multiverse of dreams, and may very well take us all over in our sleep. So that was the basic premise. So I kind of split it down the middle between sci-fi and supernatural fantasy, the dream world. So I'll just get going through it here. So here we go. I just thought I'd start it off silent. The guy wakes up in his bed because if his name's the COMA, and that took forever to come up with the name, because I've said it before, I'm sure, like all those singular word names, mysterious name, the shadow, the spirit, the specter. I mean, go down the line, they're all taken, so I thought I came down one day with the name COMA. I was so excited, like, oh, the COMA, he's in a coma, the COMA. So I thought, if he's in a coma, how about showing the book wakes up. The book opens up and, a coma patient lying down in the hospital bed, and it wakes up 1, 2, 3. There's hospital gown. I'll give you guys a second there. Anybody shout it out if you know what that is. It's an homage to the Doctor Strange window, the famous window in Doctor Strange's Sanctum Sanctorum, designed by Steve Ditko, obviously. A little variation on it. He wakes up and he's waking up. He's getting dressed partially, right? Black shirt, still got and the hospital pajama pants, and he puts on a robe, just like a cheap white robe they have in the closet for the patients. Hence, that's the costume, right? I wanted to give him like a simple costume, but also really kind of underscores he has that look like a patient. So anyway, and then by giving him the robe, it's not a cape, but it kind of has that mystical guru look, like a robe, right? A cape. So it just worked out there, you know, where a hospital patient outfit kind of crossed over to the idea I had going for it. So the person wakes up, his eyes are closed. He walks out of the room down the hall and he collapses. And I wakes up and there's this weird pattern, you know, kind of zoom in on his eyes at opening. It's closed, it's half opened, and it closes again. And then just zooming in to show, you know, so pull you into it. He's waking up again. Now he's freaking out. He's freaking out. And turn the page, big reveal. Now he's in this weird dimensional, you know, something verse. And I always thought this was funny. In the fact, not meant to be funny, but yeah, the word balloon is left blank, right? Because like he's speechless. But I always thought people would think like, oh, that's an error, right? The guy forgot to put in the word balloons, or the file messed up or something. But I never got any letter about it. No one ever said, hey, mister, you messed up. So anyway, playing with the Steve Ditko, Doctor Strange, weird, multi-dimensional stuff. And of course, our villain of the piece. Although the guy doesn't know that yet, he just sees being attacked. And this is actually a giant brain that he's on, right? Just trying to show that, you know, if El Muerto, a lot of the El Muerto story is about like the heart. The coma is, a lot of this is about the brain. So that's kind of interesting. So anyway, he gets sucked in through the brain. And the word balloon, it's still silent. And it's cracking. Thought that was a fun little thing to do. And then we get to our title page. So this is hand lettered. I don't do a lot of hand lettering. Honestly, I've probably done less than, I'd say 10 hand lettered pages in my entire 23-year career, to be honest. So this one, I just wanted to hand letter it. Los Comex presents the COMA, written and illustrated by Javier Hernandez. And again, just playing with really fun visuals. I forgot what you call that stem of the brain. The brain stem, someone says, but if he fell through the top and he gets tumbling through and he comes shooting out the bottom. Again, just more fun, weird stuff to draw. A DNA strand. You never go wrong with the weird eyeball, a big giant, you know, omnipresent eye. And of course the what do you call this on the heart rate monitors in the hospital? Little heart rate thingy. So goes falling down through the eye, hits the eye, and then it turns out it's like a liquid thing. And bam, he wakes up and it's this giant tree. So again, it allowed me to really play with surrealism, you know, and almost anything goes type of thing visually. And he's shocked to discover this man, this small, ancient man. Kind of looks like a negative, right? It's like literally like black and white, even though the whole comic's black and white. In my mind, like if I did a color piece on him, or if it was a movie or a cartoon, it'd have to have that negative look where it's black and white with, I guess, some shades of blue and gray. Anyway, that's his name is the Man of All Time. You know, again, the ancient guru, the ancient one from Doctor Strange, or just pick any, you know, Yoda, right? So many stories have that, the ancient wise elder person, and he's here at the Tree of Life, and he's kind of explaining to our hero here, our perplexed protagonist, where he's at. He's at the crossroads of universal knowing. I don't know how I came up with that. I just had to come up with something very fanciful, you know, like the center point of all existence and all that. What was the in the old 1970s comic book, The Man-Thing from Marvel, the big swamp monster, written by Steve Gerber? There was a certain point in the swamp, they called it the nexus of all realities, I think. So anyway, I always like a name like that. Like, what's the center point of maybe existence of you know, that only an ancient god like this would know. So, and he's explaining to the character. His name's Damien, by the way. I should have introduced him already. Damien Arcadian, the COMA. He's explaining to him how every everyone's mind is basically connected, their subconscious mind, potentially. And now we're recollecting his origin. He wakes, I woke up in a hospital bed, his face all bandaged up, and he's all wired up. And so who are our characters here? Dr. Sharma, she's the specialist, and Teresa, the nurse in charge of caring for him. And yeah, he's in a coma. They're perplexed. He had some facial scars, which you'll find out later what that's about. Yeah, this was, I'm just going back looking at this, like, yeah, drawn 12 years ago, whatever, and then published a year later. More flashback. He was, so he's in the hospital here at this place called the Bixby House, right off up in the hills of Santa Monica, PCH. I live here in LA, so keep it local. Bixby House, Bixby, a reference to Bill Bixby, the actor of the 1970s, late 70s, Incredible Hulk TV show, live action TV show, which I was a huge fan of. He's such a great actor, and his performance was just perfect. So I needed a name for the institution, and I thought of different things, right? The Something Institute, the this and that. Well, what about the house? So it's like the Bixby House. Okay, that works. Real simple design on the building. I guess they deal with coma patients, maybe related with psychological issues and such. So basically what happened was Damien here, the guy with the swan on his back as a tattoo, he was down at the local beach. I think it's, was it Redondo Beach? Did I put the reference in there? Maybe, maybe not. Anyway, and he's out here right on the shore. He sees a thing splashing in. Maybe thinks it's a manta ray or something, like a black snake. Then, of course, it jumps out at him, and it's this thing. And it wraps around him, and it's, scarring his face up with its little clawed tentacles. And the only reason that is because I wanted to give the character, I wanted like a mask or something, but I didn't want to put a mask on him. And then I just fell in love with the idea of bandages, because again, he's in a coma, hospital patient, so the face is bandaged up. So I kind of reverse engineered it from there, because I came up with the visual first. It's like, well, the reason he's in the hospital, besides he's in a coma, his face is all scarred up, so they bandaged it up for him. So that was the reason for that. Otherwise, this thing wouldn't have had clawed tentacles, right? It just wrapped around his neck, and he would have bit into his forehead, though. So I guess the bandages are for that too. The man of old time is explaining to Damien what this thing is, and this is called the Psychivore Eternus. That was a really long process to come up with this thing's name, because again, so many names are already taken, and I was trying to figure out, well, what's this, like a psychic vampire, like, right? He's feeds off the soul, or actually the psyche, the negative energy of somebody. And I found out I saw the word Psychivore somewhere online. And the Eternus, throwing some fancy Latin. It's always been around, right? I'm sure since day one. People feeling the negative side of themselves. So, Psychivore Eternus. And the man of all time is explaining to Damien the whole beginning of existence. With these characters, the priori. And again, that took forever to find out too, the name, because again, every word's been taken, right? The elder gods, the originators. I mean, be interesting what creators in 20 or 30 years come up with as far as like what names are out, what words are out there that are left. But priori means something prior, so it totally makes sense, right? Even prior to like the Big Bang, these things existed. So the design was interesting. I wanted to make it really weird and surreal, but also I wanted to make him very unisex, I guess. You really can't identify, because they're beyond, probably most of our terms. So almost like I was looking at fertility figures too. So, So yeah, like the wider hips, and then the broader shoulders, the male and female visual type thing. And then some of them are defined by these like swirly lines, and then the other ones are defined by just stipple dots. So that's my, my elder race, creator race, the Psychivore Eternus. And apparently they're not perfect because they were unaware of the Psychivore Eternus, their priority. So they banished it and scattered the creature, eventually scattering its matter to the furthest reaches of the metaverse. They just completely obliterated it. So this was fun to come up with. So after the billions of years, his atoms are just floating through existence, and eventually they start kind of gravitating somewhere, and then our universe is being created, right? He's caught in the maelstrom of the galaxy's creation. So he's caught in that. All his atoms are sucked in, and eventually he reforms. And he, this was bizarre. When planet Earth finally formed, the Psychivore was once again whole, albeit deep inside the core of the Earth itself. So yeah, basically, as the galaxy's forming and our little planet Earth, as it's forming with all the matter, he got wrapped up at the very center of the Earth. And from what I hear, the center of the Earth with that indestructible mantle, right? I mean, it's like the super hard marble that forms the center of our Earth. So he spent 4 billion years digging his way out from the center of that. And 4 billion years later, he ends up at that beach. It happens to be like Redondo Beach or Long Beach, wherever. And the first human he comes across was Damien. So he kind of bit him and, put his essence inside Damien's brain. So now Damien's in this dream world, and now the Psychivore is attacking. Yeah, this is crazy stuff. Just going back looking at this now. It's funny. When I was drawing, I remember one night I was drawing this. And, sorry, just fixing something here off the side of my clock. I remember drawing these. I was hunched over the table drawing. Had some music playing, whatever, and just like stippling. And I remember my head was like right down on it. And then I stood up or put my head up. And I felt a little dizzy because I was so concentrated on this. And I actually had to like look around. Okay, here I am. I'm at my desk. I'm working. It's like I got so sucked into, this creation point, which is pretty amazing. I mean, as a creator, like you want to just get lost and just in the work. So the Psychivore attacks Damien, and the man of all time, say the old man, the very old man, jump off from the tree to another little landing. It's just crazy water thing, and then they land somewhere else. Again, the laws of physics don't apply exactly. This is interesting. They land here, and there's all these little clinking coins on the floor. And I'll tell you where I got the idea for that. Years ago, I was teaching a class locally here at Pico Rivera Center for the Arts. And I went outside to go to my car because the class was over. And there was a skate park right outside. And there was this older guy, this old Chicano guy. Short guy, older, silver hair, long goatee, real cool looking, probably like real Chicano style. Real short guy. And he was real friendly. Hey, how you doing? Hey, what's up? How you doing there? He's like, yeah, I just brought my kid out here. He had a kid to the skate park. So that was really cool, him and his son skateboarding. And he was telling me that, I take him out to places, my son, take him out to places and, try to do stuff with him so he has good memories and stays active. So, at the end of the thing, whatever they do, like he goes up to the son and just like, he mimics like he's giving the son. So he goes, yeah, I tell my son I'm giving you coin. It's like, there's your little memory for the day. I thought that was such a neat, beautiful concept, that he's creating these memories with his son. But the idea of like these memory coins that always stayed in my head. And I just decided to add it here, right? So these are all, they're right here. The man of all time says, what are these? Your forgotten memories, Damien. So, right, we all have memories in our head, and I'm sure a ton of them are lost. Just the little 2-second moments. Can't remember everything in your life, every single second. There was a line here somewhere, I thought. Oh yeah, he's on. I think I got one of these stuck in my butt. What are these coins? So yeah, he's talking about his repressed memories that we all have, and his Damien's parents had died, and he's not, some years ago, a few years ago, and he's not dealing too well with it. And of course, the man of all time disappears. Sometimes you got to deal with things on your own. So the psychivore turns up again. It's kind of like a shark. Instead of going to the water, it's coming out through the coins, and it pops up. And Damien again has to fight it back. This time he, manifests these eye lasers, Cyclops style. Then he goes outside, and he lands on this little patch of floating earth. The carnations reminds him of his mother. Then his parents show up. So I gave Damien Arcadian a Greek background, only because I was thinking of, like, when I was trying to do a little research on dreams and all that and psychology. There's so much written by the ancient Greeks on psychology, philosophy, Socrates and such. So for that reason, I just kind of thought I'd give him a Greek background. And plus, I have a friend, Timo. He's Greek Roma. Roma, if you don't know, Gypsy. I think Roma is the more preferred term that's used now. But so I asked him. I remember. I go, hey, Timo, can I give you a couple of words that Greek parents, coming to America, just like my parents, they have particular Spanish words they use for us, affectionate words. And so I asked them for a few words like, my son, my beloved son, and such. So Damien and Angelamu, I may not be pronouncing that right. Is that you? Angelamu means my angel, translated from Greek. So anyway, I thought that was really nice because I could have looked these words up, but it's like, you know what? I can ask a friend to ask his parents, and what better, more authentic could be for terms of affection than getting it from the parent. So yeah, he's meeting his parents who have passed away, and he says he's doing terrible. He's not doing good without them. Still grieving, and they're just giving him advice. There's this thing the dad says here, Damianos, and that's the other thing. Damien, the more formal word would be Damianos. Damianos, do you remember when you were a little boy, I used to call you boss? It's time to be the boss. Little bit of encouragement from the parents. So he's hugging the parents, and then boom, next thing you know, it's this creature. So I thought it was neat to get the Psychivore Eternus from the serpent mode, and almost like he imprints himself on the COMA look. So it's almost like an evil negative COMA, right? Kind of like a bandage face, but now all the suit is black, and then the tail of the coat is serpentine. So I thought that was pretty fun. I always liked the good and dark side of a character. Yeah, so now they're, again, another battle. The Psychivore may be, getting stronger, meaning he's getting more control of Damien. Again, Damien's all of his repressed feelings, his negative thoughts, his depression. Because things like that can control you for the worse. So basically the whole story is about trying to control your darker impulses, your negative side, right? Don't let them overtake you. I mean, it's a real simple story that we all know. So I thought it was a nice way to work it out into a comic with these characters. And I'll be honest with you guys. I didn't sit down when I came up with the COMA, and I didn't think of that. Like, oh, it's going to be a story about fighting off our darker side. It really was, like, for me, a visual thing. Like, oh, this guy in this coma, he goes to this dream world, and there's this evil entity. And then it started clicking to me as I was working on the story. Like, oh, yeah. It's basically his dark side. So it's it's not very obvious with this dark side version here of the COMA. So they start fighting, and the Psychivore has the upper hand, basically gonna take over and kill him. But yeah, here he is gonna claim, if he can claim his brain, one human brain, and then because they're all connected, he could eventually start going through all of them. one by one and control the whole world. So, and then Damien gets back up. He's fully clothed again, in his costume, because he's got to look cool in a superhero costume. And he tells him, "You're out of my mind." Little play on words there. And basically zaps him, turns back into the serpent creature, and then Damien steps on it. That's kind of gross, right? Getting the squishy insides of the thing all over through his bare feet. And there he is. And the sun's rising. He's kind of been able to overcome his darker side, his depression. And, of course, the man of all time wants to, further train him and such. So they got to get off this melting water pile here. And now they're just walking through like nothing. A nothing bridge in the middle of nowhere. So that's basically it. And then, yeah, his physical body is still back on Earth in a coma. And that's basically it. So, like, the adventure starts. And here's a sketch of the cover, which I turned into a negative. That's pretty fun. And that's the basic gist of the first issue. The debut / first issue / only issue right now of the COMA. But again, I knew I was going to do a one-shot. I want to do a complete story. Even if it's only, I think it's 40 pages or something. It's a story with the beginning, middle, end. It's his origin, the character's origin, and introduce some of the other characters. So, done in one. I'm going to speed through this, but so like when I design characters, I always sit down and I go through tons of sketches, right? That's how I work. I mean, a lot of people may just write notes, which is fine, especially writers. I'm sure you write tons of notes on your characters and stories and everything. I just sketch things out. I draw, I sketch, I do character designs and little scenarios and trying to come up with the COMA. Originally, he had a whole different costume. He had like his head was all wrapped up with like a long scarf. And it's almost like a doctor surgeon outfit. Those old-fashioned ones, right? With the double buttons coming down the middle of the shirt. But yeah, that just didn't sit. That didn't feel right for me. Then I got more into like the idea of like a patient. With the pajama pants and just a t-shirt and the bandaged head. And then the whole barefoot thing, like it just, for me, again, we're talking about dreaming and meditation. And I was thinking of like yoga, just that whole look. So I think that plays into it, as well as being just a hospital patient. Again, sometimes I really, really think of different elements of why it looks like this, or, how it could help the overall character design. So once I nailed down, like, I think once I put the coat on him, the white coat, I figured, okay, yeah, that's the look. That's a good look for the character and the name, the COMA. Yeah, again, playing with just early sketches, early scenarios in the dream world here. Here he is in the hospital bed and an image of himself there. The Bixby house, difference, yeah, what the road leading up to the top of the hill there. So, and these are, yeah, I guess these are the layouts of those 2 pages. And then probably the first drawing maybe of their priori right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 6 of them, right? Yeah. And again, they're all misshapen. It's not really supposed to be which one's male and female, whatever. They all just look like different versions of a fertility goddess, fertility beings. Some are taller, some are shorter. And again, another drawing here, sketch. Yeah, sketching just different ideas over and over. I did a lot of sketches, I know, of this character. There's where he's getting choked by the. And this is the actual page that we saw in the book. See all the blue line. So when I scanned it, all the blue dropped out. So I also did these are fun. So again, because the book is black and white, well, I do want to see the character in color and just play with that. So I did a whole series of these. They're almost this size, maybe a little. Well, they're I think 5x5, just white cards, and I'll just do different drawings. I'll just do a bunch for no reason, other than to like find the character, as I say. And because of the nature of the character, it's all like a lot of the poses are like, you know, meditation or dreaming, sleeping, surrealist here. Yeah, you know, yoga stances and stuff like that. Fetal position, right? But yeah, once I figured out the color scheme, like that's it. That light blue pants, black shirt, white coat, and bandages. The tattoo, yeah, it's a symbol of his parents. Yeah, the swan. I don't remember exactly. I may have it written down, but it's something he got. Yeah, it's like the symbol of his parents, the swan. Brain. Here's a drawing of Damien without the bandages, and yeah, just real fun stuff. I mean, I love this one. Just the bandages unraveling, and then coming up with the different patterns for the dream world. Yeah, I told you there was a lot of these. This was fun. That's like that image from the panel where the Psychivore bites him. This is, yeah, right here. Yeah, so some of these have the Psychivore Eternus. This is the kind of yin and yang. And right here, unraveling. And then, yeah, so again, it's real obvious. Like it's, yeah, two sides of the same coin. The dark side, the good side, the light side. But it's for comics, it's perfect. That's what comics sometimes work so good with, just real basic symbolism. Or obvious symbolism, whatever you want to call it. Man of all time. Yeah, so I guess the only color he had would be his red skirt, but otherwise he'd look like literally like a black and white negative. That would be cool to see. Well, like more color images, but really as a film or a cartoon, get that real cool negative look, where everybody else is, you know, colored normal. Here's an homage I did. It's a Steve Ditko cover, Spider-Man number, I believe it's 12, might be 12 or Unlucky 13, but. The first appearance of Mysterio, so this would have been, if you look at the issue, it's a Spider-Man, this is the exact pose, and this is Mysterio. So I thought, because my character, this guy represents, not illusions, but actual imagery and surrealism and such, I thought it was a nice pair-up. This was an early production drawing I did, you know, some Photoshop manipulation, where I just got this image here, and repeated it behind him and blew it up and blurred it out and dropped a halftone on it. Here's a painting I did. Actually, this painting, wow. The background, right? So you see the black drawing of it, right? Yeah, I'm sure you can see it pretty good there. That's done with Sharpie. The background, I had asked my nephew, Christian Silva. He was 19 at the time. He had started really painting a lot. I gave Christian the large canvas. I don't know, it's like 30 inches by 20 or something. I go, do me a favor, just paint a background. Just paint on it. Paint whatever you want. Just surreal colors, whatever. And he gave me the thing, and then I go, well, good, I'm going to draw my character on it with Sharpie marker. So I thought that was nice. But it's my nephew here, which if you've been watching my earlier episodes, he passed away last year. He was actually a victim of gun violence. He was 28 when he passed away. So I have this painting, yeah. Yeah, it's pretty neat. I mean, it's beautiful, right? It's literally all his brush strokes and whatever he sprayed on in there and such. So, so the COMA came out in 2011. Before I did the magazine size comic, I did a short run preview comic. It's basically the same story, but I don't think it had the first 3 pages. These 2 pages. No, is it 3? I believe it's. Yeah, just 2 pages extras. I added these 2 pages when I printed this version. Otherwise, I think the original one just started like this. But I did a mini comic, just a smaller version of the whole comic, and I had it at a convention up in San Jose, the Alternative Press Expo, the APE. So that was in February of 2011, and then later in the fall, I released a full magazine issue. But this is the cover. I colored this cover myself. You know, trying my hand at the surrealist and psychedelic color scheme. But then when, you know, Mort came in later and did his cover on it, his color version, yeah, I'm not gonna say blew me away. I'm not gonna knock myself, but that I'm not anywhere near that good with Photoshop. He did a fantastic job. Yeah, so here's the original pencil sketch of the cover. Like, I finally realized, okay, for the magazine, I probably did a different version, but I like the big image of the character with the psychivore behind him in the brain. And then this is my pencil drawing. Yeah, this is just a pencil. Because I indicated with the X that's all black, the psychivore there. And then you saw Michael Nino's inked version here. The pencil, oh, it's here also just as well. The sketch, my pencil version, the ink version, and there's Mort's cover without any of the lettering. So, man, I would love to print this as one of those lenticular posters. Like that thick plastic and it's like 3D. Oh, man. Anyway, and I think that's it for the art gallery. Yeah. Oh, one thing about these, I call them the COMA chromosome. What do I call them? The COMA color cards. Anyway, these 5x5 cards, since I had amassed so many, what I did when I did the announcement for the pre-order, that you could pre-order this comic, and I'd either mail it out to the person or give it to them at the Alternative Press Expo if they're in the area. So everyone who ordered the comic was able to get one of these 5x5 color cards. So these are scattered out everywhere throughout the country, which is cool, right? It's like, I'm glad that people have these out there in their possession, all these 5x5 cards. And let's see, I think that, and then so I had a pinup gallery. I put out the call to several friends and like, hey, can you guys, with your awesome talents, do a pinup of the characters? So I'll just give the roll call here. Mary Bellamy, Crystal Gonzalez, Selena Hernandez, Blair Kitchen, the late Blair Kitchen. Blair passed away, unfortunately. I believe it was a year ago. Yeah, fantastic cartoonist, worked in animation up there in Canada. So, yeah, let's remember Blair. Rafael Navarro and Mort Todd did a pinup. I forgot about Mort's pinup. So here's Mary Bellamy. Crystal Gonzalez, love this. Selena Hernandez, no relation, but yeah, fun stuff. There's Rafael Navarro's. This is Blair Kitchens, which is, again, it's a terrible tragedy what happened to him, but fantastically gifted artist and a wonderful family man. He's left behind a wife and children, several children. So, but this is really cute. There's a little insert drawing. There's the possum, his character, and the COMA. They're both in the same hospital bed. I love that. Who the heck is this guy, and how did he get in his bed? I'm not sure, but he appears to have no vital signs. I think he's dead. So his character, the possum, plays possum. People always think he's dead, which is funny. But anyway, that's nice having this thing from Blair and Christian here in this represented here. Rafael Navarro, of course, you guys know him. He's a great friend of mine and great creator himself of Sonambulo and others. And yeah, so Mort did his own drawing and colored his own piece here. So that's right, copyright by Javier Hernandez, but illustration and color by Mort. So that's basically it, quick run through or slow run through. I gave you a pretty good, now you don't got to buy the comic. In case you're asking, so, silly me, I do a spotlight on a comic. I don't have anymore. I only have a few copies of these, and I always try to keep, for my own collection, like the last copies of a comic. But I'll tell you this. The COMA comic, not the art of the COMA, if you really, really want to get your own copy, it's available in this collection, the Los Comex Codex. The Los Comex Codex reprints 5 of my other previous sold-out books, one being the COMA, and then the other one's De Dinosaurio, Weapon Tex-Mex versus Muerto, Man Swamp, Manga Muerto. I will talk about these at a later date, but the COMA is in here. Yeah, right here. Right? Right here, the COMA. The whole book's black and white, so the covers are black and white. And there's a story, and there's some background info, which you guys are mostly caught up on now. But if you want to get this book, you can actually order it through Amazon. You'll get a brand new copy. I don't have it in my web shop, but It's $14.99, and you get 5 back issues, and each one has an intro by me. And there's a big intro in the beginning, just giving a whole rundown of just my kind of how I got into comics, things that influenced me. And then each book, each reprint, story reprint, has its own intro specifically dealing with that comic. So it's pretty good. It's a nice package if you want to get some of my older comics. An epilogue and a couple of things in the back here. So just go to Amazon and look up the Los Comex Codex by Javier Hernandez. I'll put a link down below the video here. So anyway, that's that. If you want to catch up my other work, right, my El Muerto, this is my in-progress graphic novel. So this was a preview comic. It's got the first 28 pages of this story. I'm currently working on the comic. This is an expanded edition where it's got the 28 pages. First 28 pages of the upcoming graphic novel, but also has all the thumbnails. If you into all this stuff, like the rough draft of each page, so you can compare like the rough draft to whatever the final version was. All 28 pages are in there, plus some deleted scenes. Yeah, deleted sequence, and then the final sequence is this one here. And this was a Kickstarter project I did last summer, so this is the name of all the people who contributed. So you might be one of the contributors. But if you'd like to check out my new work, my current work, either on Amazon, some of the books, or I'll have a link down below this video for my website as well, my store, the Los Comex web shop. But I think that's it. So yeah, that was a look at the COMA. Thank you very much. So this would be the first part of what are we going to call this? The Los Comex Chronicles, maybe. But I'm going to spread them out. I'm not going to do like, I'm not going to do every book in a row. So I'm going to bounce around, do some other videos too. As usual, looking at some old comics, some old manga, maybe doing a drawing demo. But eventually we'll go through the majority of my catalog, the Los Comex Chronicles. Anyway, everybody, sorry. Thank you so much for watching. Please share the video. Don't forget to like this video. And leave a comment down below if you got the COMA before, or if you have a question or anything you want to share. And we'll see you at the next episode of Los Comex TV. Goodbye.